Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Real Positive Girl podcast with me, Sabrina. This is the show that's going to help you become your best self. And today we are talking about signs that you are healing. But before we jump into that, I do want to invite everyone over to my Instagram. I am at Sabrina Joy Perozzo. I would love to get a DM from you. I would love to hear from you. Get any feedback, topic suggestions, prayer requests. Maybe you just need some advice. Maybe you need some encouragement or motivation. I am here for you. Or just to say hi and we can chit chat and become friends online. I would love to connect with you. You can also send me an email to realpositivegirlpodcast@gmail.com. That is an option as well. All of that information is detailed in the show notes. So again, I cannot wait to hear from you. But like I said, today we are talking about signs that you are healing. So I want to ask you, how often are you considering whether struggles are getting easier or more manageable? Really taking the time to evaluate what's going on. Like how is life going? As opposed to having to feel like you have to do it moment by moment, like within a crisis. But when you're not in that crisis, high anxiety moment, like how often are you really considering like how things are going? And I'm going to guess that's probably not enough. But if we made time to evaluate this on the regular, we would have more understanding on what is great, what needs work, and continuing to foster hope that our lives can change for the better, and continuing to see like, wow, this is amazing. Wow, this has gotten better. And because like when you're in the thick of it, it's hard for you really to evaluate what is getting better because you're just continually like worrying about what's going on. We focus a ton on what we are struggling through and how difficult, like whatever certain season of life that we are in, which is super helpful to understanding what you're going through and where you can make changes to hopefully make things even better and more manageable. But I think we should also spotlight the moments we can tell when we are healing, right? When we can notice where we are healing and things are just getting better. And like I said, a lot of times we don't even notice small changes in a positive direction or healing points because we put too much focus on what's hard, what's super difficult, what is just driving us crazy and not really helping us to be our best self, you know what I mean? And we haven't taken needed moments to reflect on what's going on under the surface of it all. Again, it's as if you are sitting right in front of a painting, like right in front. Like there's literally like maybe just like a couple inches between you and the actual painting. And you can only see so much because your perspective is limited. But if you take those needed moments, you take that time to really take a step back, step back at least a foot or two, and your perspective instantly widens and you're able to see so much more. You're able to see what's changed, what's gotten better, maybe even what's gotten worse, because we only have so much attention to focus on so much at one time. So, among all the things that are getting better because of whatever we're implementing or mindset changes that we are, including in our strategy for like growing, there also could be things that are falling to the wayside because, again, we're so focused on growing that other things don't get focused on. So regardless, though, I do want to definitely encourage you to take those needed moments to just take a step back and really be like, wow, okay, how is this going? Is this helping? Is this not helping? Is this a waste of time? Or was this like a waste of money? Or do I need to give it more time? Do I need to get some feedback from someone else? Because maybe it's something that's really difficult for you to evaluate for yourself. You know what I mean? You have to make that time to really reflect on what's going on. So that's why today I want to talk about some signs that will help us see that healing is present and what we have implemented into our lives is making a difference. And this can just be anything that we're healing from. I do want to say that before we jump into the 5 signs that I want to highlight today. But this could be healing from whatever specific trauma that you're going through, whatever mental health struggles that you are dealing with. Even if it's just like an attitude adjustment, even if it's just a mindset shift, it doesn't have to be something absolutely like terrible. It doesn't have to be like your whole life is sitting in the gutter, or you're living and you've furnished your pit of despair and it's been really hard for you to move out. It doesn't have to be like that bad. It doesn't have to be that negative. It can just be lighter, medium, heavy, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. And there's no need to really compare what you have going on to what someone else is going on, because again, everyone's going through a different season of life. Everything means something different for everyone else. Everyone handles every single thing in their life differently, so it's totally fine. But again, let's just talk about 5 signs that you are healing from whatever you're going through in your life. So the first sign is, instead of projecting onto others, which we've talked about a lot recently, I would say in the last few episodes, instead of projecting onto others, we take responsibility and are accountable for our actions. So if you're not familiar with projection, it's really just putting your feelings onto someone else and really just sticking a lot of blame. And it's because you haven't taken the time to really deal with how you're feeling and what's going on in your own heart, in your own mind. And you'd rather just put that sticker onto someone else so that you can be the victim and not even have to deal with it. And then you don't look like as terrible a person or someone that is struggling with something. So if you found that in the past, or even maybe recently, you were projecting a whole lot onto other people in your life. And a lot of times we'll do this to people that are really close to us, or we'll do this to people that we don't even know, like if we're like driving through a drive-through or getting a coffee somewhere and, we're blaming them because they're saying, oh, that we're wrong. And we're like, we're not wrong. You're wrong. And everything's wrong. And I can't be blamed for this, right? Because you just can't accept that responsibility with whatever you're struggling with in your life. So instead of doing that, you're taking the responsibility. You're like, yeah, I messed up here. I made a mistake. It was my fault. This is my issue that I need to handle. It is not something that I need to put onto someone else. And also just being accountable. You're like, yeah, I did that. I made that decision. That wasn't the best decision. I am open to feedback and suggestions for how to do this better, or maybe I need to take a step back and not be involved in this, or whatever it is. And so this is a really big sign of healing, because you're really deciding that, okay, I need to deal with this stuff. I need to evaluate why, like taking that step even deeper of no longer projecting and taking responsibility. You're asking yourself why? Why was I continually putting all of that on everyone else? And, do I feel less stress now and less anxiety, that I feel like it's okay for me to be able to handle this responsibility of what I did? And why did I do it? And what led me to make these decisions or, go through with these actions, right? And it can be so much growth, so much change. Obviously, it's really going to deepen self-awareness and understanding yourself more, which is amazing and incredible and something that we should all be practicing. So again, number 1, instead of projecting onto others, we take responsibility and are accountable for our actions. Number 2 is less reacting is happening and more responding. So the difference between reacting and responding, if you're like, that sounds like the same thing, Sabrina, sure it does. But reacting would be just literally reacting in the moment, not taking any time whatsoever to really think about how you're going to respond, think about how you're what you're going to say, or think about what action you're going to take, and thinking about how that would affect everyone that's involved, how that would make you look, how that is actually helpful in the situation. Reacting is very much off the cuff, okay, it's just whatever comes off the top, right? But responding is really taking a beat and being okay, should I, as we talked about in a previous episode, do I really need to be upset about this? Is this really worth my time and energy? And responding would be, okay, let me take a moment to really let what they said sink in. Should I be upset about that? Should I be offended? Should I really lash back out in anger and just mirror what they are giving me right now? Is that actually good? And so if you do find yourself to be reacting less and responding more, that's absolutely amazing because it means that you are like taking that pause and you're not just letting whatever emotions fly. Now, there's going to be moments where we do react because we're all human and no one's perfect. And you have to forgive yourself for those times where you just react and it's not really in the best interest of you or anyone else involved. That's going to happen because, again, no one's perfect. We're all human. And sometimes we're just so heated. Sometimes we are just so up in whatever feels that we have that it just spills out because it's like overflowing. And maybe we haven't really dealt with those emotions enough to understand like what those triggering things are leading up to reacting in that way. And by becoming more self-aware and understanding the triggers and the little breadcrumbs that are leading up to you reacting in that way without taking a beat to decide if that's the appropriate reaction in that circumstance and situation, it just really again, just give yourself a break, forgive yourself for those things, and just look back at the experience and be like, okay, well, why did I do that? What am I struggling with here? What could I get better at? And maybe these emotions are the ones that I need to work on so that I don't react that way as much and just get better and stronger and continue becoming your best self. So again, number 2 is less reacting is happening and more responding. Number 3 is we are more aware of what's going on in our minds and what we are saying to ourselves. So this is definitely one that I would say I am still struggling with, but I do find it to be a really good sign of healing because you are understanding that there are so many things flying through our minds every single moment of the day. And they are, filtered in through so many other people's like judgments and opinions and what they say to us, and then what we think of ourselves, and then also, our own feelings of like feeling like we're missing out on things or feeling like we're not good enough and comparing ourselves and all of these things, but also receiving positive like achievements and compliments and people telling us how amazing we are. And so we do need to take the time to actually have a more thorough filter of filtering out what doesn't need to be there and what can be there and what we're not sure of that we need to really think on and figure out if it belongs or not. And so if we are really becoming more aware of like, wow, why do I keep telling myself that I think I'm stupid because I don't know, because I'm not able to just know how to do everything the first time. No, does not apply to me because, I shouldn't be expecting myself to know how to do everything the very first time. That's super unfair. And maybe you're telling yourself, wow, I am just so fat and overweight, and I cannot believe that I am not losing weight faster, even though you are putting in the time and the energy and the work into figuring out that like healthy fitness plan that you need to do, getting everything in order, but you're not realizing that there is progress, but it's small, And so we say these terrible things to ourselves. We're like, oh my gosh, I don't think anyone likes me because no one talks to me, or I don't have that many friends, or what have you. The more aware we are of these thoughts in our minds, the better we will be able to filter them out. We will be able to filter them out so much better because we're like aware that those thoughts are there and that we get a choice on whether we believe them, on whether we can let them continue to live in our minds, and whether they are going to influence us to feel a certain way or do something in our lives. So again, number 3 is we are more aware of what's going on in our minds and what we're saying to ourselves, and hopefully pressing more into saying positive things to ourselves and not allowing us to get bogged down by other people's opinions and the comparison that we all do from us to other people and vice versa. Number 4 is we care a little less about what others think about us. I struggle with this one. It's definitely, sometimes I feel like it's better, some days than others, and that's generally how mental health goes. One day you can be up, and the next day you can be down, and the next day you can be kind of in the middle, and the next day you can be kind of a little bit higher than that, and the other day you can go back to where you were. And this can happen hour by hour too. Recently on my Instagram, which again, at Sabrina Joy Perozzo, I'd love to see you guys over there. I do a lot of like posts and videos talking about like growth mindset and things like that to encourage you and to help you. But yeah, so I was talking about how my moods will go up and down hour by hour. Sometimes I did a quick video talking about how I will wake up at the top of the day and I will feel like so excited and so like full of joy in life, and then like within an hour or two, something small, something insignificant, really, if you take a step back and really evaluate what happened, will just dramatically change my mood. And then my mood can level out a little bit after that. And so it's just important to understand that our moods can go up and down all around the town. That's like what I like to say, because, and understand that that's normal. And we do not need to really, we don't need to make ourselves feel shameful for that because we are different. It's just normal. But back to what we are talking about. So, caring a little bit less about what others think about us. I I struggle with this. I struggle with this a lot because I am such a people pleaser and I want people to like me. I want people to accept me. And, it's getting a lot easier day by day for me and then like literally day by day, to kind of release that a little bit and realize that it's just more fun to be who I am rather than continue to wear this mask and pretend to be someone that I'm not, and pretend to be someone that is accepted by people, because it's more freeing and it's also less tiring. Over the years, I've talked about this in a previous episode, I think within the last few weeks, and how wearing a mask it's so tiring, and you have to spend so much energy pretending to continually be this person that you're trying to adapt for the sake of other people that may not even care at all whatsoever. And it just, you really lose a part of yourself and you lose so much energy, and you don't even have like even the slightest amount of energy to really remember who you are and indulge in that even a little bit. You're spending so much time and energy on pretending to be this other person. And so I really kind of like worked out of that, but I've still been trying to like, lean into those traits of being an amazing person so people will accept me. But it's not that I'm stopping being like a nice person. I love to be super kind and helpful to anyone and everyone, but I'm trying to care less whether people like the way that I'm doing it, or if they think that I am not like the perfect body type, or don't have like the best smile, and I have crooked teeth, and I don't do my hair well, and I don't have like the latest fashions and things like that. And I don't have all the money in the world to buy this, that, and the other and continually always have a fresh wardrobe. Like, I am trying to indulge more in like, okay, I'm going to care a little bit less what people think about me, because the only person that I care about what thinks about me is God. And I need to lean into that and understand He made me a certain way on purpose. And that's really, really important to me. And that should be really important to you guys too. But regardless, though, we just need to understand that us like really living our lives based on what other people think about us, we are going to lose so much of our own life to enjoy, because we're waiting around to get people to approve who we are and what we're all about, and whether we need to continue down that path or not. We just need to be who we are, be the best version of ourselves we can be every single day, because we are growing every single moment of every single day, and just focus really on that. So again, you will definitely know that you are healing for sure if you are caring a little bit less about what others think about us. So, number 5, and the last one I want to share with you today, is putting yourself first is becoming easier. This is definitely a sign of healing, because if you struggled with this at all, like even a little bit of putting yourself first, then if you are able to do it a lot easier now, obviously it's a sign of healing. And so this could just be like implementing time to be by yourself, and also, implementing boundaries, personal boundaries in your life by saying no, and not allowing people to know as much about you if that's not what you want, and to not be manipulated into doing things you just have no enjoyment or desire to do. Again, the caveat is that we're adults, and so there are certain things that we have to do because we're an adult. But a lot of things that people ask us to do, we don't have to do. And we need to understand that that is our choice and that is our right. And we don't have to like people if we don't want to. And we don't have to engage in certain conversations or actions if we don't want to, if that's not comfortable with us. That does make us feel safe. And we're able to do things at our own time, our own pace, our own speed, and our own comfortability. And that is our right. But yeah, putting yourself first maybe just not going to all the events, staying home, being okay with saying no and not having to make up an excuse or a reason, just be like, no, I just don't want to. And that might hurt someone's feelings, so you definitely want to say it in a nice way. But putting yourself first and just making those decisions based on what's going to serve you best in that moment is going to help you to definitely serve people a lot better when you have the capacity and the energy to do so, but also understand that you are worth that much time and energy and love and care. And we all need to remember that. And I think the more that we do that, the more that we'll be able to reinstill self-worth into ourselves, especially if we're lacking it. And that is me for sure. So if that's you, just know that you're not alone. It's not just me and you, it's others for sure. So yeah, putting yourself first. That's a tough one for me, but I feel like I've been doing it really well. Mine relates more to things I enjoy doing, like if I put myself first to read a book or watch a show or even to do this podcast, because there's definitely other things I could be doing that I don't necessarily want to do, but this is like super important to me. And I put myself first by being like, no, this is super important to me. I love it and I need to do it. And this is what brings me so much joy and happiness. So, yeah, putting yourself first, that's becoming easier for you. That's definitely a sign of healing. So, that is all of the signs that I want to talk to you guys about. I hope that these were super helpful. Let me know if you have any other signs of healing that have come up for you when evaluating your healing. I'd love to know what those are that you've been noticing, because obviously they might be some of the same that I talked about today, but definitely a few more that I did not, of course. So thank you so much for listening to the Real Positive Girl podcast. Again, with me, Sabrina. Please reach out to me on Instagram at Sabrina Joy Perozzo, or send me an email to realpositivegirlpodcast@gmail.com. All of that information, again, is in the show notes. I appreciate you guys listening, sharing, and downloading the show. You're amazing. Also, again, if you are interested in having a free 4-week growth mindset coaching session with me for free, again, I am taking on a few people to do for free, and it'll be 4 weeks. So it'll be like at least a one-on-one check-in every single week with other like materials and things for 4 weeks. It'll give me a way for me to understand like what my clients would need for coaching, for growth mindset coaching, and helping you just become your best self. And I would love to offer it to anyone that is interested. So send me an email or a DM on that. But until next time, have a good one, and I'll see you next time. Bye.